A warm welcome. Good morning, Salbona. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ashraf Garda, speaking to you on Salam Media, as well as Radio Al Ansar. In fact, on this, the first day of Ramadan. So appropriate for me to say that Ramadan Mubarak to you. And for me, I have to make this point. It is with a touch of immense irony that I host a breakfast show on a day when I'm fasting. Lots more to come over the next 2 hours, and I absolutely hope you're going to be a part of it and you're going to join me all throughout this breakfast show while we're fasting. The show is called The Ashraf Garda Show. First things first, however, let's get the news with Tabile Duma.
Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Abu Hurairah narrated that he heard the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, "In black seed there is a healing for every disease except death." This Ramadan, experience the health benefits of this ancient blessed seed by using the Tib Black Seed range. Black seed assists the body to boost immunity, regulate blood sugar levels, reduce inflammation, and act as a potent antioxidant. Experience a holistic approach to health by introducing the Tib Black Seed range into your Ramadan routine. Available in capsules, pure cold-pressed oil, and a vapor rub. Trust Tib Health Sciences for quality black seed products.
Making news at 8, Health Minister Dr. William Kize said that temporarily suspending the further rollout of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine was indicative of medical authorities are prioritizing the safety of people. And President Joe Biden agreed yesterday to address a joint session of Congress this month to mark 100 days in office as he grapples with the critical issues, including the coronavirus pandemic and America's economic woes. Good morning, I'm Tabile Duma. Health Minister Dr. William Kize said that temporarily suspending the further rollout of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine was indicative of medical authorities are prioritizing the safety of people. South Africa has halted the rollout for now after the advice of American officials. More than 6.8 million of these Johnson & Johnson inoculations have been administered in the US, while here in South Africa, more than 292,000 healthcare workers have been vaccinated. A rare and a severe type of blood clot has been recorded in 6 women after being given the Johnson & Johnson shot in America. In South Africa, Health Minister Dr. William Kize said that following the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's recommendation, officials met with researchers leading the Sisonke study, the Ministerial Advisory Committee and the South African Medical Research Council. Kize has stressed that no cases of blood clots have been recorded locally. The minister said he hopes that deliberations would only take a few days and that the vaccinations would resume. South Africa is set to start its phase 2 vaccination drive next month. Eskom said that its power system was constrained, meaning that there was a strong possibility of more load shedding this week. The country was saddled with a stage 2 blackouts between 9 p.m. last night and 5 a.m. this morning, with the utility blaming a shortage of generation capacity. It said that 3 generating units are tripped at its aging power plants, while 3 others had not yet been returned to service as planned. Eskom said that it was working to bring them back online, and it's promised to keep the country informed about any significant changes to the grid. Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Ketla Sithole has placed his fate in the hands of the Supreme Court of Appeal in a desperate bid to overturn a scathing court ruling, which affirmed that he had breached his fundamental duties as a policeman, a blight on his integrity that could see him axed. In the fight alongside him are Deputy National Commissioners Francina Vuma and Leonard Tsumane, who were found by the Pretoria High Court Judge Norman Davis to have breached their statutory duty in terms of the IPID could act by effectively blocking a string of corruption investigations spearheaded by the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. Among these was a probe into an aborted attempt by police top brass to splurge 45 million rands on a spying device known as a grabber at an inflated price. IPID investigators allege that this was the kingpin of a money laundering scheme designed to swing the ANC Nasrec elective conference outcome by buying off delegates. In local news, a voting station in eThekwini municipality has been forced to stop registering voters and to close following allegations of voter fraud. Voters there could be forced to re-register as opposition parties feel the voters' roll at the station is tainted. The parties have accused the ANC of trying to pack the Mount Royal voting station north of Durban with individuals who did not live in that ward in an effort to rig a by-election. The area falls under Ward 110, which includes Sunningdale, Mount Moriah, Glenanil and Glen Hills. The ward was held by the DA, but the councillor resigned last year. The by-election is expected to take place next month. A man who opposition parties claim was an ANC member was caught with 30 ID books of different individuals that he wanted to register at the station on Sunday. EFF KZN leader Vusi Khoza posted a video on his Twitter timeline of a confrontation between the parties and the man who had been seen carrying a stack of IDs. The man implied that he is assisting ill comrades by coming to register for them. In more news, the estranged wife of former Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba Noma Mngoma had her attorneys read out a letter of withdrawal to the Zondo Commission yesterday. Mngoma was set to testify regarding her previous allegations against her husband, which supported his former bodyguard's testimony that Gigaba received money from the Gupta family. She had missed her previous scheduled testimony on Friday last week. Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo expressed his disappointment and agreed with recommendations from the state capture legal team, saying a summons would be issued against Mngoma. However, it is unclear when a summons will be delivered or when Mngoma will appear before the commission. And finally, President Joe Biden agreed yesterday to address a joint session of Congress this month to mark 100 days in office as he grapples with the critical issues, including the coronavirus pandemic and America's economic woes. Biden accepted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's invitation to deliver a 28th of April address on the challenges and opportunities of his historical moment. The speech will not technically be a so-called State of the Union address, which American presidents give yearly under the Constitution. Brand new leaders like Biden instead deliver a speech to a joint session of Congress. After taking office on the 20th of January to replace Donald Trump, Biden has hit the ground running with an ambitious agenda to tackle the coronavirus crisis and its devastating effect on the world's largest economy. His administration easily met a goal of 100 million shots in arms in his first 100 days and has since broadened it to 200 million. Biden has also moved aggressively to reverse Trump's America First, go-it-alone foreign policy, avoiding traditional U.S. alliances and international cooperation on issues including climate change. Taking a look at the news in Pietermaritzburg on 105.6 FM. Fears that the trial of the man who killed a Pietermaritzburg socialite Kavitha Naputh may collapse were allayed yesterday with news that the key witnesses had been located. The alleged murderer, Superior Mweli, aged 37, a vagrant who is in custody, appeared in the Pietermaritzburg Regional Court yesterday for trial. He abandoned his bail application last year following his arrest in February. Naputh's body was found in her vehicle in Alexandra Park on the 20th of January. She had been strangled with a cell phone cable. While the trial could not proceed yesterday because Mweli's legal aid attorney was sick, Magistrate Begizita Poswa was told that witnesses had been located. Two were even present in court. The main witnesses in the case are vagrants. In March last year, when the country entered a nationwide lockdown, vagrants around the city were rounded up and accommodated in Mayor's Walk in in Pressbury. As the months are passed by, some left the facility. The investigating officer has had a tough time locating them and worked hard to track them down. Yesterday, prosecutor Pumlani Ntshangase told the Poswa that the state intends calling 6 witnesses to prove its case that Mweli killed Nepeth. The motive for her killing has not been disclosed in court. And finally, the South African Municipal Workers Union in KwaZulu-Natal has threatened to embark on a strike should the South African Local Government Association fail to meet them halfway on proposed salary increases. SAMU KZN Secretary Nokubonga Dinga said the proposal by SALGA was equivalent to a 0% increase. SALGA has promised an increase of 2.8% for the 2021 salary and wage negotiations at the South African Local Government Bargaining Council. The association has also proposed a total freeze of increases on all benefits that are linked to salary increases. SAMU wants a 4,000 rands wage increase for all workers. The union's other demands include a 15,000 rands sectoral minimum wage, 3,500 rands a housing allowance for all workers, 80% employer medical aid contribution and 20% employee contribution, 6 months of fully paid maternal leave and 1 month of fully paid paternity leave, and 25% employer contribution towards a pension. Negotiations are currently underway. Meanwhile, the Independent Municipal and Allied Trade Union Msunduzi chairperson Themba Leons said the proposal by SALGA meant that the association wanted to see workers become poorer come the 1st of July. Well, that's it for your news in Pietermaritzburg on 105.6 FM. For Radio Al-Ansar News, I'm Tabile Duma.
Radio Al-Ansar, keeping you in the loop.
Welcome. You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
And my name is Ashraf Garda. This is the Ashraf Garda Show. And I'll be your host throughout the month of Ramadan, weekdays only from 8 to 10 a.m. So I hope you're going to stay with me on this journey, which should be a fascinating journey. And this show, the Ashraf Garda Show, is brought to you by Tib Black Seed. Experience a holistic approach to health with Tib Black Seed. So let me tell you what's going to happen here. It's fascinating because a couple of years ago, and when I've been a guest often with Ibrahim Gangat, I've often been a guest on his show. 2 years ago, I did some work on Salam Media during Ramadan, and he was ill and sadly passed away. So it was a great sense of pride in many ways that I'm filling in on, sitting on his hot seat, doing what he would normally do during this Ramadan. As we reflect on his incredible legacy, all we can do is pray that may Allah grant him Jannah. And of course, for you listening and have lost loved ones over the last few months, over the last few years, we pray the same for your families. May Allah grant each and every one of them Jannah. Let's look forward, however, to Ramadan. This new month has started. This is day one. And all I can tell you in terms of what we'll do, we'll tackle real stories that affect real people, or maybe the other way around. Each way is really important. But some really important things we'll be talking about. And I'll just give you a quick snippet of what's coming up just now. We'll have a feature called Planet Ramadan that starts very, very shortly. We'll look at Ramadan issues around the world. And for now, we'll be chatting to Tambisa Ibrahim Fakude in a few minutes' time, looking at various countries around the world and the issues they've been facing around Ramadan in a pandemic period. Okay, then we'll talk about the big Johnson & Johnson story. You may know about it. If you're a medic, you'd be in the queue to get your vaccine. If you haven't yet done it, it's not going to happen, not for the next few days at least, because it's been suspended. Big story there. We'll also have a collaboration with Voice of the Cape. We're joining them around 10 to 9. Later on, we'll be chatting. We have a feature called The Champion People. We speak to a South African who's made an impact in the country that's worthy of being called amongst the champion people. And today, my guest is Dr. Ismail Mita. He comes up later from 9:30 or so onwards. Don't miss that. Feel free to engage with us all throughout the show. Love to do just that. And I'll give out some numbers as well that you can connect with us. But the important ones to call in the studio number 011 680 0355. 011 680 0355. Available to talk to you anytime. There's a WhatsApp line as well. 061 766 0355. You can text. You can also send voice notes as well. But coming up in a moment, That's My Point.
The Ashraf Garda Show, live and exclusive on Salam Media and One Nation FM.
So, I'm thinking about this year. Last night I went for the evening prayers, the Tarawih prayer at the West Street Mosque in Houghton, and I didn't do that last year. Well, I didn't go to the mosque last year during Ramadan because, of course, we were at the height of that COVID lockdown, right? So I reflected last night on the fact how I missed the brilliant recitation last year because I wasn't there, how I missed the communal atmosphere that can only happen in a mosque situation, how I missed the small talk that happens mainly after the Tarawih Salah because people are chatting, family, friends, and then the rush to the mosque and the rush back home. And when I reflected on all of that, it was hard, right? But it was for the right reasons. I'm talking about a year ago. It was for the right reasons to keep us apart so we can be stronger together. Well, 1 year later, the same principle applies, doesn't it? And yet, when I think back to that year that we missed last year, it wasn't all that bad, meaning being at home. It wasn't a doomsday scenario. It was difficult, but it wasn't all that bad. There was also good in that. Because last year, I was an imam. I was an imam at home, and I'm not a hafiz, but I was an imam at home, reading short, small surahs with my son and my wife and daughter. And we led from the front, performing our Tarawih throughout the month of Ramadan at home. So we led from the front, we led from the back. There were others who were correcting the mistakes that we made. We read together, we needed each other, we supported each other. So when I reflect on Ramadan of last year, it was the first time we performed the Tarawih at home. It was a disruptor. But by its very nature, disruption is not necessarily a bad thing because it was also the best of times. It was a time of incredible bonding, of reading your prayers, the extended prayer at home in what I'd call the Garda Mosque. So in conclusion, as I reflect on it, and we now get to the mosques, but still practice a high degree of safe distancing to protect ourselves and others, it's also a time to reflect on the circumstances that led us to being in charge and leading from the front in our own homes. And we did that. It is indeed a moment in time we will never forget. I'm Ashraf Garda, and that's my point.
Days a year, you can with the Al Imdad Foundation's Daily Sadaqah program. Donate as little as R1 a day for a month for each member of your family, up to any specified amount, and receive monthly feedback on where your contributions have made a difference. Visit alimdad.com and download your Daily Sadaqah debit order form or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Ishmael, weren't you supposed to be in Umrah? No, man. With this new visa issues, I can't go every year. Yeah, I know. And now my wife, she on my case. She wants a Madina Kajur, Zamzam, Kawa, Duka, all the Suhur and Iftar stuff. I'm telling her, forget all that this year. What are you stressing about? Find everything at IG Hussein. Leave Ramadan shopping. You can also do all your Eid shopping one time. They got a wide range of Saudi and Dubai Islamic wear for the whole family. Eid gift.
Okay, Sabir Ashraf, we're just testing you out. How are you keeping? Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Hi,
Got that.
Ramadan
Yeah.
Kareem.
Good.
I can see
So-
you. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can see you. Ek wil maar 'n bietjie
Great.
Afrikaans praat want jy's in die Kaap nou, né?
Dis is nie 'n probleem nie. Ons kan Engels praat. Maar Afrikaans is not great.
I know you're not from there, no. But
How
anyway,
are you guys doing?
I'm very good indeed. So I'll be hosting the show for the month. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. I'm sure it's going to be epic.
Thank you, and looking forward to connecting with you because I think that crossover would be really nice.
Yeah, it's been a minute, so it's good to be interacting again.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
much for us to talk about. So much has happened. So
Absolutely, yeah. All right, listen, Ponty said it's all fine, so we can let you go. Right, we'll chat later on.
098181 Ashraful Aid under the auspices of Maulana Suhail Wadi.
Abu Hurairah narrated that he heard the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, "In black seed there is a healing for every disease except death." This Ramadan, experience the health benefits of this ancient blessed seed by using the Tib Black Seed range. Black seed assists the body to boost immunity, regulate blood sugar levels, reduce inflammation, and act as a potent antioxidant. Experience a holistic approach to health by introducing the Tib Black Seed range into your Ramadan routine. Available in capsules, pure cold-pressed oil, and a vapor rub. Trust Tib Health Sciences for quality black seed products. For more information, visit blackseed.co.za. Available at leading pharmacies.
This is the Ashraf Garda Show, and you are listening to Salam Media.
Welcome back and Assalamu alaikum. My name's Ashraf Garda. Glad that you're a part of the show. So the show is called the Ashraf Garda Show, and we'll do this every weekday morning throughout the month of Ramadan, 8 to 10 a.m. If you like what you're listening to, give us a thumbs up. You can do that on all the Salam Media social media platforms, and you can also tag me, Ashraf Garda. But also you can call in. Quick calls welcome, 011 680 0355. And WhatsApp, text, and voice notes also welcome, 061 766 0355. You got that? 061 766 0355. Now, one of the things we're going to do, right, is this feature called Planet Ramadan, because just think about it. We have the whole planet and we have Ramadan, and somehow they overlap during this very, very significant month. So what we're thinking about is like, what about countries with sizable Muslim populations around the world, and not just how they celebrate Ramadan or how they embrace Ramadan, but how have they been impacted in carrying out their Ramadan duties, if I can put it that way, during this month, during this period, which is still now a pandemic-heavy period. It's continued now and lingered for over a year. So with me is my good friend Tembisa Fakude, who's on the line, is the Senior Fellow Africa-Asia Dialogues. That's AfriSud, besides many of the other things that he does, and hopefully that will come up in a moment as well. Tembisa Ibrahim Fakude, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam.
Good. We did say we'll meet for lunch one of these days. We're gonna have to work out how we're gonna do that under what circumstances, but doesn't mean we can't engage now.
Yeah, sure.
Right now, we've charged you with the responsibility of giving us a snapshot of a few countries in terms of how they're facing the challenges of a pandemic in carrying out their Ramadan duties. Would you share some thoughts with us?
Well, various countries in the Gulf. I'll speak mainly about the Gulf because that's where I spend time, and I know a bit about how they're doing their Ramadan during this time of COVID. So the situation is bad because most of them have gone under strict lockdown after what they call a South African variant Fed wave. And so countries like Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia are back into lockdown, and the infections are still very high. particularly in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia. So it's quite tense. But there are a lot of changes, as you know. I mean, similar to South Africa, for example, the masjids, people are not encouraged to go to the masjid. People are encouraged to make the tarawih, for example, at home. There is a law of social distancing even in the surfs, so you don't have that shoulder to shoulder no more. It's a meter at least apart when the musallis go into the masjid. So even that spirit is no longer encouraged. I was making a joke with my daughters to say that they used to say to me, why you not go to the masjid sometimes when I miss Tarawih? And I'll say to them, no, I'm following Makkah. So I'll open the TV and follow whether it's a Shuraim or Sudais at the time making Salah. And now it's something very in the Middle East. Most people follow the Imam on television. So you have families who switch on the TV, watch while the Imam is making Salah, and they'll follow the Imam. But also you have other countries like Dubai. The Emirates has come up with an interesting package during the month of Ramadan where you can make your iftar in the skies. So a couple of minutes before iftar, they have these private jets that take people around all 9 provinces or Emiratis in the UAE, and you can see all the Emiratis. And when time comes for breaking Salah or breaking your fast, or break your fast before you're taken back to the terminal to make your Salah. Whether that's good or not is another story. I think it breaks the entire spirit of family as far as I'm concerned. But there are a lot of those kind of innovations. But it's quite tense this year. It's not the same as other years, where you'll have a lot of people moving up and down, exchanging gifts, etc. This time around, if you have to go to the masjid, you must take precautions.
Because I take it as well, and we know things change, right? But once again, certainly in the northern hemisphere, the numbers are spiking, and I see Turkey has put in new restrictions. But I mean, there could be other countries too. So again, I mean, do I take it that none of these things are like cast in stone? There's a plan A. And even if the plan is more accommodating of worshippers at a mosque, for example, that can change in a couple of days, right?
I don't think so. I think it's going to go throughout Ramadan. They've made the laws already, so these are going to be throughout at least until after Eid. And besides, the weather is now steadily changing. It's getting quite hot again, and people are spending more and more time indoors in the Middle East. It's not the other way around. When it's cold, people spend time indoors. In the Middle East, when it's hot, people spend time indoors. So I don't think these laws are going to change anytime soon. I believe that they are going to go all the way past Eid, and only then they'll begin to adjust. The only challenge, of course, is we just don't know what will happen to many of the experts who are there, who have to travel after prefer to spend that time at home. We must remember last year most of them didn't travel because of the strict restrictions. So most of them were planning that at least this year we'll be going home. There are flights open and are flights available to different destinations compared to last year where there were no flights. So the challenge will be what will happen to those people who want to go and visit their families after Eid. So that's another challenge that is still to come. But to answer your question direct is, I don't think it's going to be the laws that were implemented are going to be revised anytime soon or during Ramadan.
And do you get a sense that there's an acceptance amongst all these Middle Eastern and Gulf states of the unique circumstances that's been prevailed upon themselves? So when these restrictions have come up, even during Ramadan, an acceptance that this is what we need to adhere to, or has there been a reluctance? I mean, it's a reluctant acceptance, almost grudgingly so.
Well, interestingly, there's been an acceptance. It's strange, actually, how many people don't want to die. even though all of us, for us to get to Jannah, we have to go through certain passage. We have to die to get to Jannah. But the interesting thing is no one wants to die. So the adherence has been quite impressive. It's been strict, but also at the same time, there are a number of punitive measures for those who break the law. Got expected to quarantine and don't quarantine. They will mention their names, etc. So the adherence is quite high, and the number of people, for example, inside the vehicles are also restricted and limited. And so there's a lot of good when it comes to adhering to the laws which are meant to mitigate the spread of COVID, particularly in the country where I spend more time in, which is Qatar. I was in Istanbul some couple of weeks ago. It's a different case in Istanbul. Istanbul, you don't see the same level of adherence, and of course, you'll understand the more people there, the communications, and of course, politics are not as in Qatar. In Istanbul, they take whatever comes from government with a pinch of salt because of polarization in politics. So even though that could, of course, have an impact on their health, but if it comes from government, take it with a pinch of salt. But in this, and I think that's what impacts and affects the way the Turks at least are adhering to COVID. But in the Gulf, where there's much more adherence, it's because again numbers are smaller and there's no much politics involved in terms of.
Etc. To what degree, therefore, has this also been disrupted? And therefore, what I'm saying, to what degree has the normality of a typical Ramadan, even outside the mosques, been changed completely?
No, certainly it's very, very impacted. In the Gulf countries, what you normally have, you have all the wealthy people sponsoring the tents where they'll distribute food, and those that don't have places to go to break their fast will come in. Often the poor will be eating in these tents. This year there are very, very few tents because, again, of restrictions. You needed to have permission from governments, etc., to construct your tent. So that is going to have an impact for a number of people because, as you know, even though there is this image that the Gulf is one of the richest region on earth, but there's quite a number of poor people who for years have relied on these tents during the month of Ramadan. So we don't see much of that happening this year. So even this whole culture of exchanging gifts, as I said earlier on, eating on the streets, etc., is not happening. But again, this time around, the weather is also going to impede a lot of people from eating outside because it's getting a little bit warm. But the biggest tradition, which has been happening over the years, has been that construction of food tents, allowing people to come in and eat, and we don't see that happening this year. So the spirit is a little bit somber compared to other years.
Very, very much a different world we're living in. Thembisa Fakude, thank you for your time as always. Most appreciate you talking to us, and hopefully we'll have further engagements in this month and beyond. But I will remember this one point from you, Thembisa. People don't really want to die, and maybe I'll add a rider to that. People don't want to die even in Ramadan. Something for you to think about. Thembisa Fakude, Senior Fellow at the Africa-Asia Dialogues, and that's AfroCid. And you can follow him on Twitter as well, Fakude T, Fakudet, Fakude T. Follow him. Some fascinating thoughts he has, and a major player in the world of media and communications, I can tell you. Well, what's also really important in the light of people don't want to die is the issue of the vaccines. Now, we know that in South Africa, we've had just about 250,000 people vaccinated, and mainly now it's been J&J, Johnson & Johnson, and it's mainly been medics, with others now standing in the queue for maybe May. Well, if you've heard the news overnight, maybe while you're performing your Taraweeh, it's been put on hold or it's been suspended. I'm talking about in South Africa. Goodness, what does that mean? We'll find out in a moment.
The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted thousands
We're now being told by our teams and staff on the ground that the situation is becoming quite dire there.
who now face economic hardship and turmoil across all sectors.
The majority of South Africans are now a lot more concerned in terms of putting food on the table.
Penny Appeal's support to thousands of families in South Africa, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Yemen and Palestine possible thanks to your support.
One thing we've learned to make our intentions, decide that we want to make this difference.
Thousands more need our help in securing food to sustain their families. Feed our world with Penny Appeal to provide food security to communities in need. We are on the ground. Donate today towards a monthly food pack or breakfast daily to school-going children or provide impoverished communities with sustainable vegetable gardens. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds. From creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies. From exotic odors to traditional dishes, Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans, and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack, and our traditional range of spice blends. Osman's Taj Mahal. There is no substitute for quality.
I've been waiting. The best charity is that which is given in Ramadan. Support Gift of the Needy with their family hamper distribution from just 1,600 Rand in South Africa, Mozambique and Malawi. Standard Bank. Gift of the Needy 272-327-654. Visit www.giftoftheneedy.com to donate online and view our projects. Gift of the Needy, bringing ease to those in need.
DusiMed Medicine Depot Retail Pharmacy and Emergency Medical Depot, conveniently situated in the DusiMed Medical Center, corner Burger and Bossel Street, Pietermaritzburg. We provide safe, affordable and convenient medical facilities, open till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We have a full-house clinic that operates from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is run by a qualified sister. The clinic offers immunization, vaccination, wellness, general consultation, and more. Call DusiMed Medicine Depot on 033 3421 DusiMed Medicine Depot, your pharmacy of choice. Give charity without delay, for it stands in the way of calamities. For child-headed households in Bloemendal in the Eastern Cape, the daily diet consists of white bread and a carton of cheap juice or sugar water, known locally as the poppy water diet. Make a difference to that one child or family. The Al-Fida Foundation has over the past 13 years worked on the ground and gathered the largest database in the Eastern Cape region of Muslim Zakah recipients. Phone our offices at 041 484 120. .co.za. The Al-Fida Foundation, your social investment partner in the Eastern Cape.
Mornings with Ashraf Garda. Connect on Twitter at Ashraf Garda.
And went to the mosques that they couldn't do, the previous year. I look at my Twitter news and I see this breaking story about South Africa now suspending its Johnson & Johnson vaccine rollout. It has implications. It must have implications for medics who are in the front line, and then for you, because we're all next in line, right? From those above 60 and then younger. It does have implications. So I don't know. What does that really mean? Should we be concerned? Is this a blip? Is this a serious blip? Let's get the facts from someone who ought to know. Mia Malani is with me. She's the founding editor-in-chief of Becky Sisa. But Mia, as you know, I tweeted a few days ago to say, I described Mia, by the way, as the Minister of Health Communication. That's how on top of information is regarding health issues. So I wanted to hear we are talking to each other and good talking to you. Can you hear me, Mia? Hi.
Yes, I can hear you. You cut out a little bit, but I just ask your question again.
All right. Well, it was more praise than question that for me, you're the Minister of Health Communication. So like a thumbs up to you. But let's get to a bigger issue then, right? So what's the issue with Johnson & Johnson? Should we be concerned?
So I think generally the feeling is that we just need to make sure that it's safe.
I hope you can, I get a sense that you can't hear me. No, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If you can't, we're going to have to just do a plan B and see if we can connect with you some other way.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I think generally the feeling is that because the FDA has made a decision to pause the rollout in the US to look at the relationship between a very rare form of blood clotting and the J&J vaccine, we need to, in South Africa, just have a temporary pause so that we can get information from the FDA and so that our regulator, SAPRA, also has a chance to evaluate the information that we have. The health minister made it very clear it's only going to be for a few days. I think we have seen this in the past as well, when trials of vaccines have been stopped. It's only been for a few days. And generally, I think it is better to be safe than sorry. And the health minister made it clear that the only timeline that would be affected is that of the Sisonke trial, because it has to be stopped for a few days now. With regards to our J&J rollout, if we are going to go ahead with J&J, they're hoping to have this investigation done before our first batch of J&J vaccines arrive next week. We're also getting Pfizer vaccines this month. So even if we're not able to go ahead with J&J, we will have Pfizer vaccines to start with our wider rollout. But there is if there is a causal link between these blood clots and J&J, it's likely to be something that is extremely, extremely rare. And as the chair of SAPRA said last night, Helen Rees, that then we need to make a measured decision. You know, what are the pros and what are the cons? And the issue here with the blood clots is that, yes, it's very, very rare. If you look at 6 cases from almost 7 million vaccinations in the US, then it's very rare. But there's a certain group of people, women between 18 and 48, that seem to be more vulnerable because all the 6 cases occurred among these women. And they might be then a recommendation from SAPRA if they do find some sort of causal link that tells us that we can go ahead, but women in this group, you know, might be more vulnerable, because it's very, very important that if we go ahead, that there is a safety establishment, and that if there is a group that's more vulnerable, that SAPRA is open about it so that people have confidence in the information they give and confidence in vaccines. Can you imagine if we go ahead and something emerges later that we didn't investigate, what that would do to the safety concept of vaccines and people's willingness to take it?
So I mean, you raised some really interesting points, because, I mean, amongst the things I've heard overnight is, you see, look at South Africa. They want to take the lead or pick up the lead taken by the USA. What does the USA have to do that we have to follow? That's the one thing. And the second one is like, look at South Africa. They haven't, you know, crossed their T's and dotted their I's. And that's why we're now in this vulnerable position. If I get a sense from where you sit, you're going to disregard both of those points.
So first of all, the FDA is one of the world's most authoritative bodies when it comes to rulings on the safety of medicine. So that is a body that not just South Africa's that will follow the advice of, you know, countries in Europe will do the same thing. But secondly, the reason we're waiting for them is because this is a very, very rare side effect that seems to have occurred. That means you needed to have vaccinated millions of people to see this side effect occur. We haven't seen it in South Africa because we've only vaccinated 290,000 people. So we don't have data that can show us whether it will occur or not. We need to look at another country that has vaccinated many, many people. And the only other country that has vaccinated so many people with J&J is the US. So it's the only country we can get the information. Also, some cases that have occurred in Europe, 4 of them, but the FDA is now busy with looking at it. I forgot your second question, Ashraf. You said after the FTA there was another question.
Well, I'm saying that the second part is that critics tend to disregard South Africa's own drive to say, you see, we haven't got our story right. That's why we've had to retract.
So I think the background against which this J&J pause is happening is what's causing this. There's a lot of frustration in the country that communication around our vaccine rollout from the government side hasn't been consistently clear. There's been pockets of clearness and excellence, but it hasn't been consistent. There was a lot of pressure from the beginning of the year to be more clear and transparent about what is happening. Secondly, people are really, really frustrated about the slow pace of vaccinations. So if you then make an announcement against this background, it's easy to interpret it in other ways, to say, well, actually, the government is only pausing it because they don't really have enough vaccines. I don't think that is the case, but I don't think it is unreasonable for people with all of these frustrations to come to such conclusions. But it's important to know that I do think there are enough vaccines. It's been confirmed that we're going to get our first batch of J&J next week. It's also been confirmed that we now have procured 10 million more Pfizer vaccines in addition to the 20 million that we have procured. We are going to get the vaccines. It's just that it's really happening against a background where people are so frustrated that, they don't know what to do with their frustration.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we go back to your point about it's on it, and I use the word a blip, and you said it should be corrected in a few days. This is just, the type of alarm that any logical person would take. Are you then surprised that it's the lead story in South Africa overnight and this morning? Why then is it such a big issue?
Because everyone wants a vaccine and everyone is affected by this disease. So it is an epidemic that affects every single person in the same way when it comes to the risk of infection, not necessarily what happens to them when they are infected. So yes, of course it would be the main story, because there would be a concern, what if we can't use J&J? It's the vaccine that we're going to probably use the most widely in the country. And what is that going to mean for every and each South African? So I'm not surprised, because when issues affect you in, everyone in the same way, yes, of course it should be main news.
What do you expect to see happening next? So in the next few days, what do you want to see happen?
So last night, SAPRA, our regulator, already met about the J&J data. And this morning, our Ministerial Advisory Committee is going to meet on the same thing. So and the FTA is also meeting today about it. So I think the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to ask the FTA, SAPRA is going to work with the FTA, asking them what they found. And once they have those findings, and our Ministerial Advisory Committee and SAPRA have had time to interpret this, they will make an announcement. Either they're going to say there's no link, no one needs to be worried, or they're going to say there's a link between the J&J vaccine and these blood clots, but it's extremely rare, and we could perhaps still roll it out, but with the following, limitations. And following group, young women might have to be more concerned. But it depends whether they do find a causal link. We don't know, right? That is the crucial question that we need an answer to.
Does it surprise you that the Ministerial Advisory Committee, I understand, who are meeting today, as you said, they were not part of the decision to even temporarily suspend the process? That means they'd be meeting after the suspension.
No, I don't think that's true. They were consulted before about this decision. The decision, the health minister last night said they met with the South African Medical Research Council, with SAPRA, with the Ethics Committee, and with the Ministerial Advisory Committee. So this is just a follow-up meeting about the data, now looking at what are they going to do with FTA data. When it came to the decision, all of them were involved.
Okay. Lastly, there are people like myself who can't wait to be vaccinated, but there are anti-vaxxers around the world, and I'm sure there are critics in South Africa, right? So your message to people listening and watching us now, in the light of the conversation we're having, what would you tell them?
I would say, I know it's really frustrating that there's now going to be a few days of hold-up, because we have paused at least the Sonke trial temporarily, but we one of the few government or semi-government bodies in this country that's really effective is SAPRA. I have confidence in SAPRA that they only allow safe and effective medicines. It's a very functional body. So if they pause something, you can have confidence in the fact that they are going to make a decision quickly and they are going to have a look at the data. If they say we can go ahead with J&J, you can believe it and you can take your vaccine. I think if they did not pause this, there would have been an implication with people saying we're being used as guinea pigs because we don't, look what happened in the US. Is it not going to happen in South Africa? And at some stage, we would see that type of blood clotting happening once we've done millions of people. Isn't it so much better to have a ruling before the time, be open about it, and tell people this is how we're going to use the J&J vaccine. This is what we know about safety. This is how it could affect you. Now you can make an informed decision.
Okay, I think it's an important point taken. So maybe a responsible decision from the powers that be, as opposed to irresponsible. But from a South African, from the citizens' point of view, be concerned, but don't overreact. It's far from a doomsday scenario. Mia Malan, thanks as always for your fascinating insights and for clearing those things up with us. Let me just advise people as well, besides following you in terms of the work you do at Becky C, so they can certainly follow you on Twitter as well. What's it, Mia Malan, MIAMALAN, right?
That's it, yes.
Absolutely. I think do that. I want to urge you to follow Mia, because she's got on a daily basis some really important information around the things that perhaps impacts you more than anything else at the moment, which is all to do with COVID-19. Right, more to come. Still, we'll chat, in fact, to in the Champion People feature on the other side of 9 o'clock. We'll be chatting to Dr. Ismail Mita. Abdullah Varachia will also come up. I'm looking forward to connecting with him around some important business insights. We need to pick up on that. But coming up next, we're going to do this every day, a connection, a collaboration with the team from the Voice of the Cape in Cape Town.
My Lord, show me right from wrong.
Huda SA is an organization that focuses primarily on assisting communities within the eThekwini region by collaborating with existing Islamic centers, mosques and madrasas. Your contribution goes towards the uplifting of orphans and vulnerable children, including vulnerable families, by assisting with education, welfare, nutrition and maintenance of madrasas, mosques and Islamic community centers. Make the difference. Donate to our noble causes. More information is available at huda-int.org or WhatsApp or call us on 031 271 3049.
My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long.
Motala Perfumes, one of the biggest perfume manufacturing houses in Africa, with a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility specializing in designing, creating, developing and producing new scents and matching designer fragrances for all our stores, as well as private labeling for individuals and companies across Africa. Visit your nearest Motala Perfumes store or visit our website at www.motalaperfumes.com for more information on creating your own brand.
A strip of land with over 2 million people blockaded for 13 years. Healthcare is on its knees, food is scarce, and water is inadequate. COVID has wreaked havoc in the lives of the people of Gaza. 53% of the population live below the poverty line. 80% of Gaza relies on external aid to survive, and 20,000 children are now orphans. The future is bleak. Please, don't forget Gaza. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
The Ashraf Garda Show, live and exclusive on Salam Media and One Nation FM.
So one of the things I felt strongly about when I was asked to host the show is like, come on, man, we're in Johannesburg. Al Ansar links us up to Durban, and that's important that we're buying that. But what about Cape Town as well? I mean, that's the 3 big metropolitan areas in our country. So as a result of that, what we're doing now, in fact, is a unique collaboration. Every day around 10 to 9-ish, thereabouts for 5 or 10 minutes maximum, we'll be crossing to voice of the Cape in Cape Town. In fact, they'll be crossing to us. So we're now on their show and they're on our show. So if you're listening to us from Cape Town, I'm trying to imagine where you are. You could well be driving from Mitchell's Plain, maybe getting down to Sea Point or somewhere passing Athlone. And I'm looking at some of the street name changes, or perhaps you're from the Bukap area, wherever you are. So salamu alaikum, welcome and hufa to us here at Salam Media. But in particular, let me bring in now for this particular feature my co-presenter Sabira Sheikh Ashraf. Sabira, thanks for your time and salamu alaikum, and welcome to our show and welcome to our collaboration.
Great stuff. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, Ashraf. Thank you so much for welcoming us this morning. We were very excited, I must tell you, when we got the news that we're going to be doing a bit of a collab with Salam Media for Ramadan. When they said Ashraf Garda, I was like, oh my goodness, what a legend. So thank you so much. Good to be chatting. Ramadan Kareem to you, to the Salam Media listeners as well, the viewers. For VOC listeners, I know this is quite a treat. So how is everyone doing?
Well, we're all fine. So let me tell you what's happened to us in Joburg overnight, okay? We went into load shedding. As you know, the country went into load shedding, and immediately you're like, oh my goodness, first fast of first suhoor, load shedding, let's look at the implications. From my side, I speak personally, 9 o'clock at night was the first load shedding that should have happened. For some reason, it didn't happen in my area. The next one should have happened at 4 a.m., 4 to 5, and now that's smack bang into suhoor, okay? So what we had to do, my wife and I, Jamila, we had to change things. We had to make the porridge at night. We had to do the shakes that we do, fiber shakes at night, and just keep the tea ready. And instead of waking up at 4 o'clock, we woke up at 3:45 to ensure we can heat those things very quickly, so that if it does go into load shedding, we are prepared. What happened? It did go into load shedding. So yes, 4 to 5. And therefore I tweeted this with a sense of irony, that on the first day of Ramadan, as we try and look for the light in Ramadan, we were completely all blacked out. So that's our story. What's yours?
Murphy's Law, absolutely. I think when we had gotten the news yesterday afternoon, low-key, we were expecting it. We didn't think that Eskom would be that defiant. But lo and behold, I think the news had come through, gave everyone, adequate time to sort of prepare themselves for suhoor, for the first tarawih as well. So I think, South Africans by now, we know how to, deal with crisis and all of these things that come into play. But it's been an amazing few hours here in the Cape. Of course, 4 years down, it's still a bit of a culture shock for me. But Ashraf, you would know, you have family here in the Cape. The vibe when it comes to Ramadan is something else entirely. It's a sense of community. It's a sense of belonging. Whether you are Cape Malay or not is irrelevant. It's just an amazing melting pot of culture, religion, and various demographics that come into play as well, that just collaborate so nicely.
Absolutely. But so I'm going to use this opportunity of doing a shout out to my families in the Cape and see who's listening, So to the Latif family from the Cape, from Cape Town, of course, the Maulana family, the Davids family. I better not leave anybody out, and the Abed family, all those connected in many ways. I hope one of you guys or many of you are listening, and if you are, let us know. We'd love to do that. So I think you're right about the melting pot, and Cape Town's unique. What has happened? Any thoughts in terms of what may have happened around Tarawih last night, keeping in mind that last year there was a complete shutdown, and then things changed. Now we know Tarawih happens around the world, but the Cape Town Tarawih is on another level, right? Did anything different happen with the restrictions that has taken place?
Ashraf, obviously, the past year has just been incredible, but at the same time so heartbreaking. I think yesterday, a few hours ago, we were just speaking and talking about how different this Ramadan is going to be. Last year we thought we experienced something quite different. It was something of new norm that we needed to sort of welcome, but we couldn't. We're at the beginning of a pandemic, something so unfamiliar to us. A year later, COVID has touched your life, your loved ones' lives. It's touched so many of our lives. And so many of our loved ones and our friends have since passed on, that were perhaps with us last year, that are not with us this year. So the landscape in itself from the family structure to community, and the way we are experiencing Ramadan has completely changed. Obviously, that is now filtering through the various facets of Ramadan. And like you say, the Taraweeh, ordinarily in Cape Town, you would see scores and scores, and I'm sure everywhere else in South Africa, of musallis going to their various masajid and obviously standing for the Taraweeh prayers with the regulations in place this year. Obviously, extra protocols have been put in place, but from what I've seen on social media, on Facebook Lives of the various masajid, they paid quite close attention to those regulations, and it looks like it was smooth sailing last night.
Okay, I'll tell you what. So this is like a nice hello, welcome to the show, and you can say hello and Hufa to me, so that's fine. But the plan is to do this every day. So for about 5 or 10 minutes maximum, we'll maybe pick up 1 or 2 things that are uniquely Joburg and uniquely Durban and uniquely Cape Town, and bring it all together, and that hopefully people, wherever they are right now, and I'm looking at whether they're on the beach in Umhlanga, whether they in peak traffic going to Sandton in Joburg, or whether they're just maybe even driving to the Strand in Cape Town. You never know, right? Either way, they all feel part of this one big family that we just call the Muslim family, but in this case, part of Planet Ramadan. So great chatting to you, Sabira. We will certainly chat tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for welcoming us, Salam Media, to your listeners and your team as well, your viewers. It's been great. To our VOC listeners, thank you so much for joining us as well. It's just gone 9 a.m. It's that part of the morning where we love and leave you for today. But Ashraf, the legend, so good chatting to you this morning. And definitely, like you say, we'll be catching up tomorrow. We've got a lot to touch on over the next 30 days or so.
Absolutely. And I've just been reminded.
Go well, stay blessed, and have yourselves a great first day of Ramadan. To our VOC listeners, we'll see you
Inshallah. And I've just been reminded, in fact, there's like 4 Gardas now suddenly all living in Cape Town, including my nephew Riza, who's actually flying there today. So there's a whole lot of crisscross between that. Lots more to come, okay? But let's get to the important issues around the news with Tabila Duma in the Al Ansar newsroom.
Spiritual Ramadan.
أو كيف السبيل أنت بالتحدي تصنع المستحيل.
Salam Media, your link to a spiritual Ramadan.
لا تقل لي وحدي أو كيف السبيل أنت بالتحدي تصنع المستحيل.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds. From creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies. From exotic odors to traditional dishes, Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans, and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack.
News at 9 opposition parties have welcomed the Supreme Court of Appeal's ruling against our former President Jacob Zuma, and the attorney for Derek Chauvin began his defense of the former Monopolies police officer yesterday, calling his first witness in an effort to sow doubt in the minds of the jury over what caused the death of George Floyd. Good morning, I'm Tabile Duma. Opposition parties have welcomed the Supreme Court of Appeal's ruling against our former President Jacob Zuma. Zuma has been fighting to remain on the taxpayers' bill to pick up his personal legal costs for his corruption trial. But the SCA has agreed with an earlier High Court judgment that there was no legal basis for this. From his own pocket, the former president will have to pay back an estimated 25 million rands, which was used to cover his defense costs. It was the Democratic Alliance and then the Economic Freedom Fighters who launched the court battle over funding to help former President Jacob Zuma fight his legal battles. The parties argued that this was unlawful. The EFF was yet to react to yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, but their leader John Steenhuisen described it as a victory for the country's constitution. Meanwhile, the Good Party has also welcomed the decision. The SCA has also ruled that Zuma must be hit with a punitive costs order for without evidence attacking judges who had previously ruled against him. South Africa is suspending the rollout of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine over blood clot concerns, but the South African Medical Association said there is no need to panic. Instead, Angelique Coetzee said she's been vaccinated and is not worried as the risk of clotting is low. The suspension follows concerns from America's health authorities about potential clots developed in patients who have been vaccinated. Mkhize is expected to update the Portfolio Committee on Health on a way forward. Meanwhile, smear campaigns, patriarchy and discrimination within the judiciary were just some of the issues raised during interviews for jobs in the country's top court. The only 2 female candidates are being considered for the 2 vacancies on the bench say women often put their families at risk by throwing their hat in the ring for top judicial posts. The Free State's first female judge president said that it was a culture shock for her to join the Supreme Court of Appeal, where the atmosphere was less than reciprocal. Another candidate said those with gripes against judges should raise them with the commission. The estranged wife of former Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba Noma Mngoma had her attorneys read out a letter of withdrawal to the Zondo Commission yesterday. Mngoma was set to testify regarding her previous allegations against her husband, which supported his former bodyguard's testimony that Gigaba received money from the Gupta family. She had missed her previous scheduled testimony on Friday last week. Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo expressed his disappointment and agreed with recommendations from the state capture legal team, saying a summons would be issued against Mngoma. It is, however, unclear when a summons will be delivered or when Mngoma will appear before the commission. In local news, KwaZulu-Natal Education MEC Kwazi Mshengu has warned the department's employees that if they engage in corruption, they will face consequences. Mshengu was speaking during a press briefing yesterday to reveal the outcomes of an investigation into a grade 12 boot camp held in the Herigwala district last year. Complaints had been raised that the matric pupils had been placed in a building that was not fit for human habitation. During the course of the grade 12 boot camps last year in preparation for grade 12 NSC exams, disturbing photos of pupils cramped in a tent with no masks and toilets that were overflowing with human waste emerged from one of the camps, the Boniwe Rehabilitation Center in the Herigwala district. Mshengu said that the officials would face a disciplinary action for placing the pupils in unsuitable accommodation. He said that the placing of some of the children in the camp was a deliberate act of wrongdoing and even corruption by the department. Mshengu said that they would be engaging with law enforcement agencies with a view to recover the money and offer opening criminal charges. And finally, the attorney for Derek Chauvin began his defense of the former Minneapolis police officer yesterday, calling his first witnesses in an effort to sow doubt in the minds of the jury over what caused the death of George Floyd. Chauvin, aged 45, is charged with murder and manslaughter, and the most compelling evidence against him is a bystander video which shows him kneeling on the neck of a handcuffed Floyd for more than 9 minutes. The cause of death of the 46-year-old Floyd is central to the case against Chauvin, with prosecutors saying that he died from asphyxia or a lack of oxygen, and the defense claimed that it was drugs or heart disease. The first witness called by the defense yesterday was a retired police officer who was involved in a traffic stop of Floyd a year before his death. A paramedic who was called on the scene of the May 2019 incident also testified and told the jury that Floyd admitted having taken opioids. Prosecutors have, however, acknowledged that Floyd had fentanyl and meth in his system at the time of his death, but introduced a testimony from several medical experts who said the doses were not lethal. Taking a look at the news in Pietermaritzburg on 105.6 FM. Umsunduzi TVET students were left stranded on Monday night and had to sleep outside the campus gates after their landlords kicked them out for failing to pay rent since the beginning of the year. Over 40 students, some from as far as Mpangeni, Eastern Cape and Newcastle said that they could not pay their landlords because they still haven't received their allowances from the National Student Financial Aid System. The group only had 5 mattresses between them, and the food that they had was donated by people who felt sorry for them. They said that they have nowhere to stay, sleep or even bath because they do not have any money. Student Representative Council President at Msunduzi campus, Stembile Kunene, said that normally the students got their allowances shortly after they start the academic year, but that did not happen this year. Meanwhile, college principal Ntombi Ntshangase said she is aware of the situation and felt sorry for the students, but the management's hands were tied as there was nothing that they could do to assist. Ntshangase said the college not only assisted students with applications, but after that, everything was between a student and NSFIS. And finally, fears that a trial of the man who killed Pietermaritzburg socialite Kavita Naputh may collapse were allayed yesterday with news that the key witnesses had been located. The alleged murderer, Sipiwe Mweli, aged 37, a vagrant who is currently in custody, appeared in the Pietermaritzburg Regional Court yesterday for trial. He abandoned his bail application last year following his arrest in February. Naputh's body was found in her vehicle in Alexandra Park on the 20th of January. She had been strangled with a cell phone cable. While the trial could not proceed yesterday because Mweli's legal aid attorney was sick, Magistrate Begizita Poswa was told that witnesses had been located. 2 were even present in court. The main witnesses in the case are vagrants in March last year when the country entered a nationwide lockdown. Vagrants around the city were rounded up and accommodated in Mayor's Walk in Pressbury. As the months passed by, some left the facility. Now the investigating officer has had a tough time locating them and worked harder to track them down. Yesterday, prosecutor Pumlani Ntshangase told the Poswa that the state intends calling 6 witnesses to prove its case that Mweli killed Naputh. The motive for her killing has not been disclosed in court. Well, that's it for your news in Pietermaritzburg on 105.6 FM. Taking a look at your temperatures, Durban 21 to 28, Richards Bay 22 to 32, Ulundi 17 to 35, Ladysmith 14 to 33, and Margate is at 20 to 28. Here within Pietermaritzburg is at 17 to 33, and Newcastle is at 14 to 31. For your Darlin News, I'm Tabile Duma.
The Ashraf Garda Show, live and exclusive on Salam Media and One Nation FM. Abu Huraira narrated that he heard the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, in black seed there is a healing for every disease except death. This Ramadan, experience the health benefits of this ancient blessed seed by using the Tib Black Seed range. Black seed assists the body to boost immunity, regulate blood sugar levels, reduce inflammation, and act as a potent antioxidant. Experience a holistic approach to health by introducing the Tib Black Seed range into your Ramadan routine. Available in capsules, pure cold-pressed oil, and a vapor rub. Trust Tib Health Sciences for quality black seed products. For more information, visit blackseed.co.za. Available at leading pharmacies.
Salam Media, your link to a spiritual Ramadan.
أو كيف السبيل أنت بالتحدي تصنع المستحيل.
Of the show, the Ashraf Garda show. So lots more to talk about. In fact, let me tell you what's still going to happen. And well, first of all, this is important. This show, in fact, has been put together by a great collaboration of people. So besides myself presenting it, Ponti Moletsani and Rahima Bumberg producing the show, and Ziad Miladze, he is the man behind the controls. You can connect anytime. Okay, we're available on multiple platforms, live on YouTube, Facebook, as well as on Twitter and Instagram, but also to call in or to connect. WhatsApp lines 061 766 0355, 061 766 0355. I'd love to hear from you. You can text, you can send us a voice note. We may even play it. Tell us what you like. Tell us what more you want to hear on this show during the month of Ramadan. Otherwise, you can call in live, right? 011 680 0355. Why not go live and perhaps wish all the people you know well over Ramadan. I mean, that's the challenge to you. 011 680 0355. The show is brought to you by Tib Blackseed. Experience a holistic approach to health with Tib Blackseed. And talking about the show, what's coming up? You can't miss this, okay? We'll be chatting to Abdullah Baracha. He's the owner of a company called The Strategist. He was talking business strategy. Don't tell me that's not important when you are trying to battle to stay afloat in a COVID-impacted world, okay? So don't miss that. We'll also chat to Imran Chunara from the African Muslims Agency. He will talk about personal excellence. And then for about 30 minutes at the end of the show, we have in the Champion People feature, we'll talk to Dr. Ismail Mita. Don't miss that. He has a fascinating story to tell. But before we get to all of that, there's an important issue around what's happening in the world of finance. And you need to know that. So the financial update brought to you by Randery Jewelers. Here's Nafisa Seda.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Rand is trading stronger while the dollar is at a 3-week low. Trading this morning at 14 Rand 48 to the dollar, 19 Rand 98 to the pound, 17 Rand 33 to the euro, and 3 Rand 86 for 1 Saudi Riyal. Brent crude is up 1.37%, trading at $64.54 a barrel. And your gold coin prices this morning: the crude ran at 28,022 Rand. The Zahab medallion is 26,850 Rand. The dinar coin is 5,480 Rand. And your quarter dinar is 1,438 Rand. Today being the first of Ramadan, and many of you would like to calculate your zakat. If you have your carotid and your gold weight, then you can use our online zakat calculator. And Randy Jewelers has kept it open and free to all users. You can find it at www.randerejewelers.com. You'll see the zakat calculator icon on your right. Click register and follow the prompt. Of course, if you have any issues, you can send us a WhatsApp on 071-109-5275. Call us on 031-202-4701 or send us an email, info@randerejewelers.com. I hope you have a blessed first Ramadan and we'll chat to you again tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah, indeed.
Salam Media, your link to a spiritual Ramadan.
لا تكن لوحدي أو كيف السبيل أنت بالتحدي تصنع المستحيل.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randerejewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Well, thanks for that. We're gonna certainly do that very, very regularly. All right, we're getting some feedback, and I can hear myself. Right, we have a caller now. I told you guys, come on, let's get the callers in. There's this notion of like, I don't want to call, I just want to listen. Come on, this is a talk format. I want you to connect with me. Rihanna's on the line from Durban. So, Rihanna, good chatting to you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Good talking to you. Go ahead.
I'd like to wish everybody Ramadan Kareem, and I've also listened to your show. Pretty interesting. And alhamdulillah, it's the first time I've actually contacted your radio station. And very pretty interesting topics that you have today, mashallah. Alhamdulillah.
Well, I'm delighted. I did make the point, Rihanna, that I am hosting a breakfast show while I'm fasting, and you work out that contradiction. So it just shows you we do strange things in this world.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't have much anything that I have to say right now with whatever you want to talk about. But I think I'm just sitting and listening to you online at the moment. So it's just alhamdulillah. So far so good. So
Well,
if there is something I would beautiful. Inshallah, I would probably call you another day or something like that.
Well, we'd love that interaction. Thank you for calling in, most appreciated, and Ramadan Mubarak to you and your family. And we hope you have a fabulous month and get the best out of it. And do listen to Salam Media throughout today as well as tomorrow as well, and on the Breakfast Show. Yeah, right. Call the Ashraf Garda Show. That's right. More calls are welcome. You know that the doors are always open, like we're open for business. 011 680 0355. Would you like to call in? Wish your family and friends well over Ramadan, but also tell us what you like about the show so far. 011 680 0355. WhatsApp voice notes are welcome, or even text 061 766 0355. So we're going to talk business strategy with Abdullah Baracha in a moment.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, Rajab is the month of Allah, Shaban is my month, and Ramadan is the month of my ummah. Increase your sadaqah to the communities of the Eastern Cape region of South Africa. Parents lament due to the poor quality of food. The children wake up hungry in the middle of the night, and this bothers us. At times we feel it would be better if someone adopted them so as to give them a chance in life. Donate your zakah or lillah to our feeding and skill upliftment programs. Our skill programs have made zakah recipients independent of zakah and allowed them to earn with dignity. Phone us at 041 484 1288 or visit our website at www.alfida.co.za. The Al-Fida Foundation, your social investment partner in the Eastern Cape.
Ismail, weren't you supposed to be in Umrah? No, man. With this new visa issues, I can't go every year. Yeah, I know. And now my wife, she on my case. She wants a Medina Kajur, Zamzam, Kawa, Dukkha. You know, all the suhoor and iftar stuff. I'm telling her, forget all that this year. What are you stressing about? Find everything at IG Hussein. Leave Ramadan shopping. You can also do all your Eid shopping one time. They got a wide range of Saudi and Dubai Islamic wear for the whole family. Eid gifting cannot get any easier. They have a wide range of perfumes, musalas, frames, and kiddies' educational toys, and much more. What? Are you serious? Ramadan and Eid shopping under one roof? Yeah, man. Now you can tell the wife no more excuses for not having homemade savories. Oh, what savories? More time for her ibadat, not for making savories. IG Hussein, Overport branch, open every Sunday and public holiday. IG Hussein, your Islamic lifestyle.
A strip of land with over 2 million people blockaded for 13 years. Healthcare is on its knees, food is scarce, and water is inadequate. COVID has wreaked havoc in the lives of the people of Gaza. 53% of the population live below the poverty line. 80% of Gaza relies on external aid to survive. And 20,000 children are now orphans. The future is bleak. Please, don't forget Gaza. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
The Ashraf Garda Show, live and exclusive on Salam Media and One Nation FM.
It's certainly been fun for me and enjoyable hosting this show. It's like 1 hour into it, learning as well. I can tell you now, because it's not an audience that I would normally talk to, but we all learn all of the time. Well, I'll tell you what, whatever your religious belief, whatever your persuasions, whatever it is you do, the one thing that we all have to do is we have to increase revenue streams to survive, whether it's a full-time job or whether you're in business. And I think the issues of business has been tempered to a large degree because of the impact of COVID-19 on people's livelihoods. So people are struggling. Those are employed and now unemployed, and others who are in business, and to a large degree, revenue streams have been clipped. So before we did this show and planned it, myself and Ponty spoke, and I felt strongly in conversation with Ponty to say, come on, we need to talk business strategy, and not starting a business, but when people are in business, how do they strategically think around growing their businesses? So when we think strategy, I cannot think of anybody better to do just that than a man who calls himself the strategist. Abdullah Baracha is with me, and good chatting to you, Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Ramadan Mubarak. It's good to be with you. It's always nice to chat to you, and thanks for the very kind words.
Thank you. So, so you've got this responsibility, and depends on your time every day, 5 minutes or so, to get people thinking about how they should, relook at strategy every day. But perhaps maybe a good starting point is just a very, very quick bio, one-liner in terms of what do you do, almost like establishing your own credentials to a different audience.
Sure. I run a strategy consulting firm that does quite a bit of work in South Africa, but also globally. I teach at the business school Gibbs in the area of strategy and innovation, and I also run the Harvard program for Africa. And then I sit on a number of boards as a non-executive director, so many global boards and South African boards as well. So that's a little bit of my life.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about today? I mean, I've already sort of prefaced it by saying I think people need to, do some deep digging into or mining into strategy for their businesses to ensure that they survive. What is it, therefore, you want to pick up today?
So, Ashraf, I thought that, today would be really important to try and go big picture. And given that we'll do this every day, inshallah, it will be really nice for us to frame it in terms of, let's look at the world, let's focus on South Africa, let's look at businesses and how you build successful and competitive businesses in a period of disruption and change. And then finally, how do you lead as an individual? And so, inshallah, we'll do this over the next 4 weeks, every day for 5 minutes in discussion with you. And so I thought today, maybe let's unpack and demystify some of what's going on in the world. And in my world of work, almost every day, I spend time with different leaders from various parts of the world. And there's two things I wanted to touch on today. The first I'm going to argue is that we've entered into a period of accelerated change. And it's enamored people to the point that people have become immobilized, thinking that the world will always be in the state of flux, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And yes, COVID has created massive shifts and changes, but I'm going to argue today two things. The first is that we see a much more healthier outlook in 2021, 2022 going forward for almost every country, including South Africa. And this is because we've become a lot more accustomed to, we've become a lot more understandable of COVID-19 and the impact of it. We see an aggressive and accelerated vaccine campaign in many countries around the world and hopefully soon in South Africa, inshallah. And thirdly, and very importantly, we see a world that's much more comfortable with leading with a healthcare crisis. So if you go back to March, April 2020, many of the listeners who are listening today would have been in much more uncertainty. Today, we know what sanitization looks and feels like. We know where to get masks and how to wear these masks. We know how to manage social distancing. And so in the same way, the world economy is very similar. People have become much more used to and accustomed to some of these changes. So today, I want to touch on two things. The one is that we're definitely going to be seeing accelerated economic growth. In some countries like India, upwards of 11%. In South Africa, the growth dynamic is seen to be around 3%. So what does this mean? It does mean that we're seeing more positive outlook for the economy that we find ourselves in, and that means a more positive outlook for business. And then the second thing that I thought I'd touch on today is really to be able to, and I'm going to use this as a frame of reference for the entire series, is to be able to say what's important for us is to look away from the now and to start to look into the next. And what we'll try and do every day in a step process is to look at what type of tools do we need to look into the next.
All right, so let's just touch on, it's interesting you spoke about the accelerated growth and you spoke about India, 11%, South Africa, 3%. Critics listening are saying, South Africa, 3%? We've been struggling along. You're like incredibly ambitious. Why the confidence in a very, very deflated economy?
Yeah, look, it's not necessarily my view. It's definitely the view of the OECD. The Reserve Bank has a more optimistic view, around 3.5%. I think a lot of it is because we've come from an environment of negative growth, right? So the reality is we're coming off a lower base. And so it's just the reality of almost every country in the world. So last year, Ashraf, no country except for China had a positive economic growth. So almost every country was in a recessionary environment, which is 4 quarters of negative growth. When I look at the OECD numbers this morning, almost every country has gone through a shift. And it is, yes, because we're coming off a lower base. When you've got negative economic growth, your economy is smaller. And so obviously growth will come off a different base. The second, Ashraf, is we're starting to see the beginnings and the opening up of certain environments. So think tourism and the fact that many people have gone on domestic tourism. Think about the opening up of retail and people going into that environment. Think about, and might not be applicable to us, but the broader economy, the lowering of interest rates and what that means in terms of stimulating the economy. And so there are various factors that start to drive economic growth and in effect, what I say, kickstart an economy. Coming off a minus 8% growth that was South Africa's environment last year and a 3% this year is obviously positive. It's not lights out, and excuse the pun, but it's definitely positive in the right direction.
Okay, and now let's wrap up. I know we're going to talk a lot more personal in the days ahead, but just a quick one-liner piece of advice to someone in business now that's struggling. Just a one-line message.
I think the most important thing in business today is managing cash flow and do everything to be able to manage cash flow, because what you're trying to do is to get out of a difficult period, and cash flow is probably the most important element in this environment.
Okay, let's leave it at that. By the way, I should tell you, I need to talk about your book as well. Give us the name of your fascinating book. I should have introduced you with that book as well.
So the book I've got is Disruption Amplified, Reset, Rewire, Reimagine Everything. You can get it at any of the bookstores. You can get it at Amazon if you love reading online. And also, if you want a personal copy, get it from my website.
Well, next time when you come up just tomorrow, just show us the picture of the book, or show us the physical book so we know exactly what it is you're talking about. Abdullah Baracha, the strategist, thank you for your time. We will certainly chat again tomorrow with some very important advice in terms of business strategy and how it impacts and affects you. And that's really, really important. Well, talking about you, we'll stay with the you theme. We'll chat to Dr. Ismail Mita coming up pretty shortly. But to get us there, we'll be chatting to Imran Chunara. And, he talks about personal excellence. That comes up in a moment.
The broadcast of the Adhan is brought to you by the Africa Muslims Agency. Whosoever builds a masjid for the pleasure of Allah, Allah builds for him a house in paradise. Sponsor a masjid is a means of Sadaqah Jariyah in Mozambique at 180,000 rands. Africa Muslims Agency. .co.za.
Mornings with Ashraf Garda. Connect on Twitter at Ashraf Garda.
Right, I'm certainly enjoying this, and I hope you are as well. So much to learn, so much to take out on this Ashraf Garda show, and really thanks, I think, for the great work being put together by the team, and that's Ponti Moletsani, Rahima Boomberg, as well as Ziad Miladzi, but also the sponsors. Without them, it doesn't quite happen, right? And this show brought to you by Tib Black Seed. Experience a holistic approach to health with Tib Black Seed. Now, we've spoken to Abdullah about business, and we'll continue talking to him about business strategy and innovation in the days ahead, right? But that's one part of it. What about personal excellence, like you personally? So with me is Imran Chunara. He's a personal excellence mentor, the CEO, and you would know the name, of Africa Muslims Agency. Imran, goodness, it's been a long, long time. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Ashraf. And of course, it has been a long time, but it's always great to be with you guys. Great to be with Salam Media, and of course, great to be on your show.
Thank you. Right now, you've got this responsibility in the few minutes we have, because it's soundbite stuff, to talk about personal excellence. What do you want to pick up on today?
Well, I think first of all, the beginning of Ramadan, or this blessed month, as most of the listeners would be, or the viewers as well online would be aware of start observing the month of Ramadan. But whether or not you are Muslim and observing the month of Ramadan, or whether we're just going to apply to your life, frankly, personal excellence is about daily life. And so today I want to pick up, and you're right, we just got snippets. So we're going to be touching on snippets throughout this month, on weekdays, of course, a few minutes here and there. And my suggestion always is that if you're tuning into the show, you want to just have a pen and paper always close at hand, not only for my segment, but for the other snippets that come in from the other guys as well, because I think you pick up gems often that you may not get a chance to remember. Often we're busy in our lives, but it's a smart idea to make a note of it so that you can actually go back to it. So my kind of kickoff this morning for this month is stop the drift. Now, first of all, wait a second. Most people think, well, what does drift mean? And most people think drifting, of course, in the world of motor vehicles, etc., is a whole different discussion. But stop the drift. You see, frankly, Ashraf, and most people would understand this. Most people, not only in the month of Ramadan, but let's talk about the month of Ramadan, but in your life, most people have good intentions. Whether it's beginning of Ramadan, whether it's beginning of the year, whether it's beginning of a new month, whether it's whatever, beginning of a new health program, most people have good intentions. But the pathway to destruction is paved with good intentions. Because people start with good intentions, like the month of Ramadan. Everybody has amazing intentions of what they're going to do this month. And they build up the spiritual fervor and the energy and all this excitement around them. And they're listening to so many talks and recitations, and they're really into it. So the good intentions exist. But how come, and then you think about this, and most people would understand this concept, that how come we start things, but often we don't finish it, or we don't see it through, or we drop the ball. We kind of have this kind of thing, oh, I dropped the ball, or whatever. And the reason people drift What really causes people to drop the ball is they drift in life. They don't stay focused, they drift. And most people, unfortunately, most of their lives are drifting. Now, you know, the word drifting in somebody's life is a bit of a negative term because we call someone a drifter. A drifter means someone who literally just drifts through life. And so stop the drift. If I can start you with one thing at the beginning of this month is just be intentional. Stop drifting. Now, let me give you some keys on how to stop the drift, because it's easy to say, yeah, Imran, I get you, stop the drift, you're right.
I was hoping you do that. I'm exactly that. I was hoping to say, how do you stop the drift? Because
because first of all, remember,
I understand that,
Ashraf,
because I'm trying to think about you on a raft in a river, you're just sort of drifting aimlessly. In marketing speak, they talk about, stop the distraction, right? So yeah, go ahead. How do we do so? We know it's wrong. We know it's counterproductive, but how do we do so?
Okay, so of course you just mentioned the word distraction, because that's what happens. People get distracted and causes drift. Now, when we get distracted because what we give our attention to, or what takes our attention. So let me give you two phrases. Number one, what gets your attention often is something bad. What you give your attention to often is something good. What I mean by that? You see, a distraction steals your attention. It robs your attention. What you intentionally give your attention to is often good things. Like, you have to be intentional about it. You have to give your attention. You are proactive. When something steals your attention, like social media, often will steal your attention. Something you did not plan to do distracts you, steals your attention. So remember, what gets your attention is often something bad. What you give your attention is often something good. I'm going to give you 6 quick points. We're going to wrap up on actually how to stop the drift. Number one, clarity. Clarity is the heading here, and we're going to give you 6 points of clarity. Clarity on your reason, your why. Why did you make that good intention? What's your outcome? What's ultimately your outcome that you wanted to achieve in the month of Ramadan, or on a new program, or whatever the case is? And I mean, you know this, of course, Ashraf, because I mean, last year you spent some time, or the previous year, losing an incredible amount of weight and just becoming a lot more healthier and becoming a lot more fitter in your life. There had to be a reason why. That clarity on that reason had to be clear. Number two, of course, you want to think about is clarity on your game plan. So if you're starting the month of Ramadan and you're all excited with spiritual fervor, do you have a game plan? Do you actually know how you're going to execute this month? Have you thought about it? Or you're just excited? You get distracted if you're just excited. The first thing will distract you, and often will be social media. Number three is clarity on your goals. What are you trying to achieve by the end of this month, or anything in life that matter? What are you trying to achieve? Do you have it written down somewhere? And don't try to have 15 goals, because you can't focus on 15 goals. My suggestion is have 2 or 3 or 4 maybe for the month of Ramadan. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to follow 15 different ulama or learned people on social media and every day just listen to everything, because you'll confuse yourself. Have clarity on your goals. Have clarity on accountability. A different word for accountability is ownership. Take ownership of your goal and your daily habits. Take ownership of it. Do you sleep well? When are you spending time eating? When are you spending time reciting? When are you spending time on yourself? When are you spending time just meditating, for that matter, or being at peace? Do you have to always be busy listening to talks by various learned scholars, all of them with good information, don't get me wrong, but it just clouds you and distracts you. You're running around, you're drifting. Number 5, clarity on the price to pay. There's a price to pay for everything you want to achieve. There's a price to pay. There has to be. Nothing comes easy. But everything that you put your mind to, you give your attention to, is worthwhile. What's your price to pay? Are you going to maybe sleep less this month? Are you going to cut out some of your entertainment stuff this month? What's the price to pay? And the last point, clarity on persistence. Persistence. Too many people get excited the first 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and then they can't persist. Why they can't persist? Is because they fill themselves with too many things to do. Don't try to read for 2 hours a day if you can't. If you can do 15 minutes a day, that's better every single day, 15 minutes, than 2 hours the one day and nothing for 5 days, because you can't be persistent and consistent. So guys, tomorrow we'll pick up on some other topics as well. But remember, the biggest reason I want you to start this month of Ramadan thinking, stop drifting. Be intentional and have clarity. Once you got clarity, it's easy to stop being distracted.
Absolutely. When I talk about for people who drift during Salah, here's my 1 cent worth. Think of your Salah as your 5-minute one-on-one consultation with Allah. That will stop the drifting. Imran Chinara, thank you for your time. We'll chat again tomorrow. I made notes about what you said and I have my own thoughts about it. We will certainly converse on that one there from the African Muslims Agency, talking about personal excellence and how we got to you, because I think that's really the plan. Now, somebody has displayed a large degree of personal excellence, Dr. Ismail Mita. We feature him in the Champion People feature in a moment. But let me just tell you as well, as always, you can connect with me. 011-680-0355. Quick calls are welcome. Otherwise, WhatsApp, text, or voice notes to 061-766-0355. Do I want to hear from you? Yes, I do.
Motala Perfumes, one of the biggest perfume manufacturing houses in Africa, with a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility specializing in designing, creating, developing and producing new scents and matching designer fragrances for all our stores, as well as private labeling for individuals and companies across Africa. Visit your nearest Motala Perfumes store or visit our website at www.motalaperfumes.com for more information on creating your own brand. The best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it to others. Bukhari. Penny Appeal's Hifz Orphan Program ensures that a child not only learns the blessed Quran, but also lives and practices the values our religion and Quran teaches. It is a beautiful opportunity for a child to turn their life around, creating a lasting relationship that brings faith, hope, and follows the prophetic tradition. Sponsor a Hifz Orphan today and enable positive contributions to society. Give change to make change. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 0011 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds. From creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies. From exotic odors to traditional dishes, Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack, and our traditional range of spice blends. Osman's Taj Mahal. There is no substitute for quality.
This Ramadan, while our team is assisting local families in need, our international team is working hands-on. Family hampers from 2,000 Rand for Syrian refugee families in distress. Standard Bank, Gift of the Needy, 272-327-654. Contact us on 031-271-3102. Gift of the Needy, bringing ease to those in need.
This is the Ashraf Garda Show, and you are listening to Salam Media.
There's a lot of people have enjoyed what we're doing, and I really appreciate that. There's an interesting tweet that I want to pick up saying, Assalamu alaikum, phenomenal introduction filled with enthusiasm and so much hope. Kudos, Mr. Garda. You have us all glued to our radios. Now, I was going to say, thank you so much for that. But then I see your Twitter handle is like not sure one. So I hope you are sure what you're saying. But anyway, thanks for that. I think it's Nuri Fik, right? Or not sure one. Really appreciate that. Absolutely, right? By the way, further comments. Now, you know this, right? That a lot of the stuff that we do here on Salam Media is audio as well as visual. So even if you're not watching live, you will still find them on the Salam Media Facebook pages, as well as on Salam Media YouTube, as well as on Twitter and on Instagram Live, which means that you can even watch them in the course of the day. So if you've enjoyed something or you've missed something, you can go back to that and then share that with your chommies. Do that. It'll be really great if you do just that. I have a sense you're going to certainly share this next feature. It's called Champion People. It's inspired by what I do at Champion South Africa, because we say champion people, both champion nations. So who are the champion people in our country? Well, certainly one of them we've identified is Dr. Ismail Mita. But we're going to chill, really. We're going to talk for 15 minutes or so about the things that he does. So Dr. Ismail Mita, in fact. Ismail, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam. Ashraf, it's great to be with you. First day of Ramadan. Fantastic, feeling spiritually energized. And just listening to you gives me a sense of energy.
Well, there you are. We haven't yet had our lunch date, and
we haven't had our lunch date, coffee date. Maybe a good idea to do it soon after Ramadan, inshallah.
Inshallah, would be great to do just that. So here's the thing, right? I mean, I want to.
I think the last champion that you interviewed was Mufti Menk, right? Mufti Ismail Menk.
And he's the same champion that somehow I think his claim to fame is that he does some boarding and lodging at Dr. Ismail Mita's place. Is that correct? Or is that your claim to fame?
No, that would be my claim to fame. I was very fortunate to host him, and obviously since then we've become very close friends. And you know what is actually quite ironic is that I think the last time you interviewed him, and at the time he was at the Turkish mosque, and that was a few years back. And it's like as if we've wound back the clock, and he's back at the Turkish mosque. And Alhamdulillah, it's a fantastic, exhilarating Taraweeh program that he's delivering each night. So, just glad to have him back.
Well, I did message him the other day. We need to connect with him as well, as always. Absolutely right. So
you can connect with him through me.
Well, now I know. Yeah. So here's the question, and I'll just we're not going to talk about Mufti Menk, but I mean we do know that he's got this phenomenal following. So here's the one thing. I mean, how did you get to meet him the first time to the point that you now have this thing where he boards and lodges at your place when he's in Johannesburg? I mean, what happened?
Well, look, the thing is, I started performing Taraweeh at the Turkish mosque in 2012, and in 2013. Actually, in January that year, I met up with Mufti in Mecca, and we had a brief chat in the Hilton foyer, and I invited him to our Santon Masjid. You know, I was the chairman of the Santon Islamic Association, Masjid al-Duha in Coleraine Drive, and I invited him for a Jummah program, and he accepted. So soon after that Umrah, I think it was sometime in February, one of the Friday Jummahs, he performed at our masjid, and we struck a relationship and a friendship. And I remember distinctly, you know, he obviously learned that I was a doctor, and he asked for some eye drops, and I managed to arrange that for him. And that was the beginning of a very, very strong friendship and a bond of love, which Alhamdulillah is still ever present to this day.
Okay. Well, you continue to see eye to eye. I mean, I get.
We continue to see eye to eye, heart to heart.
Alhamdulillah. All right, let me move on. We'll talk about. Yeah, that was the beginning, but there's maybe more, and depends on the time, right? I was saying yesterday in previewing the person that I'm going to speak to, and I said, this guy's claim to fame. Now, ignore the Mufti Menk factor. His claim to fame is that on his birthday, he gets to perform, he gets to become the imam, perform the prayer at the Masjid al-Aqsa. Oh my goodness, we are talking about you. So tell me about that extraordinary situation.
Yeah, look, you know, you bring tears to my eyes, and I've actually got goosebumps just thinking about it. But Ashraf, that's a very inspirational moment, very touching moment in my life, you know, and I'd like to use that to inspire people, to inspire our youth in particular. So all my life, you know, growing up and becoming Hafiz al-Quran, you know, as any young kid would, we'd make a simple dua, Ya Allah, make me the Imam of the Haram one day, inshallah. And I say this with the utmost of sincerity and with absolutely no pride. So we all very innocently, especially when you're young, you know, your duas are very real and very sincere, and there's very little exposure, and you don't know too much, but you know what you know, and you make that sincere dua, Ya Allah, you know, make me one day the Imam of the Haram, and make my recitation such that you are always pleased with it. And what had happened is, I mean, we were traveling to the Holy Lands every Ramadan, and on that particular day, it just happened to be my birthday. It wasn't right. They gave us the opportunity to share, to perform the Witr Salah, and Alhamdulillah, that was the Nafil Witr, and Alhamdulillah, you know what? It was such a great honor You can't ever thank Allah enough, for having blessed me with that opportunity and for having actually answered my prayer. So I always imagined that I would, one day be reading in, or I would hope and pray that I'd be reading in one of the Haramain Sharif. And never, ever for one moment did I ever think that I'd be standing in the mihrab of Masjid al-Aqsa and leading the prayer for the Witr Salah. So Alhamdulillah, that was incredible. It was a phenomenal feeling, and I'm ever thankful for that. I can never ever thank the Almighty. I just keep on saying Allahumma laka alhamdu kullu wa laka shukr kullu for all the blessings that He's showered us with.
And I mean, I certainly listened to the clip of yours when you performed that prayer, the Witr prayer, right? And I mean, besides the momentous occasion for you're an outstanding reader. Alhamdulillah, you really, really read magnificently. When you talk about goosebumps, you are able to connect just with the resonance that the voice and the words of the Quran creates. I mean, have you? I mean, so I get that about you. Do you get that about you?
Not really. I'd like to remain humble. Alhamdulillah, look, we're always striving to do better. I'm always trying to read better. And, we're trying to perfect our tajweed. We're trying, so obviously Arabic is not our spoken language. And we are obviously constantly endeavoring to sort of better the Quranic recitation. So, yeah, Alhamdulillah, thanks to my Ustad Maulana Abdul Samad Daya, who I became Hafiz with when I was, I think, at the age of 16. I started at the age of 12 and I completed at the age of 16. And thanks to him, I mean, he gave us a very good grounding, and he insisted on tajweed. So, the tajweed, I wouldn't say it's there. We're not qaris. We're not qaris. We're not sheikhs. But alhamdulillah, I'm certainly not a Quran reciter by profession. But alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed us, and I make shukr for that.
Well, look, lots more to talk about. Dr. Ismail Meacher is my guest. He's featured in this feature called The Champion People. So he's certainly one of those people. I just want to check if we need to connect with my Ziad's waving at me, and Ziad is my technical guy. And when the technical guy says, have a break, that's what we do.
Okay, so let's have a break.
My Lord, show me right from wrong.
Huda SA is an organization that focuses primarily on assisting communities within the Etequeni region by collaborating with existing Islamic centers, mosques and madrasas. Your contribution goes towards the uplifting of orphans and vulnerable children, including vulnerable families, by assisting with education, welfare, nutrition and maintenance of madrasas, mosques and Islamic community centers. Make the difference. Donate to our noble causes. More information is available at huda-int.org or WhatsApp or call us on 031 271 3049.
My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
Enduran Boys College is an independent boarding and day school situated on the N1 highway in Polokwane. We encourage intellectual and emotional development through a holistic learning environment. We follow the NCS CAPS curriculum and house boys from grade 6 to 12. We have boarding facilities also available from grade 6 to 12. And Durham Colleges aspires towards being a premier institution of learning by offering quality and value-based education that aims to serve humanity. And Durham College is safe haven and a home away from home. It's registered with the Department of Education and Umalusi accredited. For more information, contact us on 078 452 6264 or follow us on Facebook or Instagram or email us on polokwane@interimcolleges.co.za.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Salam Media, your link to a spiritual Ramadan.
لا تقل لي وحدي أو كيف السبيل أنت بالتحدي تصنع المستحيل.
Dr. Ismail Mita with me. He's featured as one of our champion people. In fact, we're going to do this every day from just after 9:30 to about 10 o'clock. It's for about 25 minutes or so. We will speak to a person every day who we describe as one of our champion people. And the plan is to inspire you, because the bottom line is, and this is my own personal mantra from Champion South Africa, champion people build champion nations. So I just want to double check if we do have Ismail with us. Ismail, you there?
I'm back.
Yeah, you are. Okay. I can see you. So
good to be back and chatting again.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. Being and then we'll move on. I'm saying being the imam at Masjid Al-Aqsa and reciting beautifully is and hosting and being the boarding and lodging house for Mufti Mek is your side hustle. That's not your real hustle. So what's your real hustle? What is it you do?
I would like to think that my real hustle is cycling, triathlons, but that's another side hustle. And I love cycling, and obviously I love sport. So yeah, that's I would have loved to have been a professional sportsman at some stage in my life. I'm getting there, Ashraf, I think. But I'm a medical doctor by profession. I've served in the value add space in the medical fraternity or in the medical profession all my life. So I was involved in the establishment of primary healthcare clinics, a one-stop medical shop in 1997, which was a very unique concept at the time. And essentially we had under one roof all your services, your x-ray, sonars, ECGs, blood tests, the medical examination, dental and medication for you won't believe it, for $35, all-inclusive package. And essentially that really gained momentum, and we were able to serve the township community specifically, because all those clinics were established in township areas, and grew that to a network of 52 clinics. I was the owner of one of those clinics, and then subsequently bought 3 or 4 other franchises. The group was called Prime Cure Clinic. I became the medical director of that group, and 5 years, it was about 2000, 5 years, 6 years on, the Prime Cure Group was sold to Netcare, and the brand still sits with Netcare, and I still own 5 of those clinics, and they run now under the brand Mitha Medical Clinics. So started off in primary healthcare space. We used to see 150, 200 patients. It was one of the very first primary healthcare nurse assisted models that were piloted in this country. So supervised by a doctor with 3 primary healthcare assistants who could see patients and dispense medication up to Schedule 5. And essentially, we worked at that time on an electronic system which enabled us to fast-track patients through the clinic. So that was a very, very interesting time. And then subsequent to that, I got involved in clinical research, and I've made my home in clinical trials. The last 20 years I've spent in clinical trials, and I've been doing all sorts of clinical research in various therapeutic areas. And obviously, the one that obviously, is more relevant right now is obviously the Johnson & Johnson vaccine studies, which commenced in December 2020. We're in 2021 now. So essentially, that has obviously made waves in the country, and we've had a huge number of people coming through and requesting to be part of the clinical trial. And for I think once in my life, I see people appreciating the value and understanding the value of clinical research now that we're in a global pandemic.
Well, I love the phrase you use. That's in terms of the clinical trials, and people are coming there in waves, because it's the irony about people coming in waves to try and ensure that you stop the wave, right? But let's just touch on that. I mean, I'd love to have a full-on medical chat with you one of the other days, not necessarily today, but quick one. I mean, you are, as you do the clinical trials around for Johnson & Johnson, you are aware there's the rollout in South Africa, as per last night, has been suspended,
paused.
Right? Pause, suspended. What's your take on that? What are the implications for yourself?
I must be honest. I mean, I'm not too concerned. I think the number of clotting cases in the US is minuscule. It's 6 in 6 million or 7 million people. 6 females who complained of a clotting issue. I don't see it as a problem. I must say, in South Africa, we haven't seen one case. And, obviously this morning, I've had a number of patients and social media requests for clarification. And look, the thing is, we started the trials in December. We've, as a site, personally been responsible for vaccinating in excess of 600 patients. And we haven't seen a single major adverse event. Yes, patients do have the usual expected side effects of fever, headache, body aches, which last for about 24 hours, and then they're fine after that. There haven't been any major serious adverse events, nothing that we should be concerned about. So I'm not expecting this sort of suspension to be prolonged. I'm expecting it to be a number of days. It's just, this is, again, par for the course. It's what we know in clinical trials. You always err on the side of caution. So safety first. If there's anything that is potentially related as an adverse event, you need to investigate it, thoroughly interrogate it, and then obviously once you're comfortable, the trial commences.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll talk more about trials maybe some other time, because I'd love to, but we've got about 5 minutes or 4 minutes to go. I've also described, I mean, you're also the MD at Lakeview Hospital, I understand, right? But
That's
I've also
correct,
described you as this, I've used the words a medical entrepreneur. I mean, is that the way you place yourself?
No, look, I like that word, Ashraf. I like that word, medical entrepreneur. And look, I think I've been very fortunate, because the thing is, I've gotten involved throughout my career from I would say, across the I don't know what's the right word, but from primary healthcare all the way through to tertiary healthcare. So essentially, let's call it the food chain, right, in healthcare. So essentially, I've been involved and gotten involved in the business of healthcare through the Prime Cure Clinic Group. And essentially, I cut my teeth in the business side of healthcare with Prime Cure. And got involved in clinical trials that led me to requiring admission for a particular study. It was an HIV esophageal candidiasis study for which I was looking to admit patients into a hospital. I went to Lakeview Hospital. It was called BenMed then. And, at that point, the Netcares and the Lives and the Mediclinics were not interested in a small entity and not looking at admitting patients for clinical trials. It didn't make rands and cents for them. So unfortunately, I went to this little fledgling hospital in Benoni and started my clinical research business there, and became friendly with the owner of the hospital. And obviously he started to trust in me, and he told me, look, we need to make things happen here. Obviously the hospital was at that point just a maxillofacial and dental hospital, and I helped him in getting a few specialists on board, and we introduced a few surgical specs. And within a few years, we had the thing humming. And then, and then our relation, he got into a bit of a personal, problem. He was going through a divorce, and he wasn't in the right space, and he wanted to get out of the hospital. And I was competing with the likes of Life Healthcare. And eventually, I think, it's Allah's will, having the right sort of a relationship with the owner of the hospital, and which saw me. I picked up the phone and I called my three partners, Dr. Iftikhar Ibrahim, Dr. Khalil Ismail, Dr. Bogi Lingam, and I said, guys, I'd like to buy this hospital. And these guys took a giant leap of faith, hadn't even seen the place, and said, okay, fine, you know what, we're in. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle, obviously, to come up with the finance. No one was willing to back you. But alhamdulillah, we made it. We struggled through it. Took over the reins of Lakeview Hospital in 2008. I ran it with my partners. We ran it for 8 years. And obviously, we're very fortunate to have, obviously nurtured it, grow it, and get it to a point where it was a 100-bed hospital with all the disciplines, ICUs, theaters, all operational. And
wow, absolutely. Well, I tell you, well done, because that's exactly the point, that we want people to grow into something bigger. When we talk about the Netcares, why can't new Netcares in our world emerge, right?
Yeah.
Now, tell you what, we've got about 2 minutes to go, and I'm going to just get you to wrap up quickly with this, because I think it's important. One is, what is your purpose? Just quick answers. What is your purpose?
Look, I think I would have alluded to it in the beginning. Right at the beginning of my life, I've always been in the value add space. I'm a doctor. I can help people. I can assist wherever I can. And I think my purpose would be to offer value in that particular space.
Okay.
So
how did you discover your purpose?
It's never ever been about money. I remember distinctly having a discussion with another physician, and we said, the thing is, the money follows. The thing is, you provide service excellence. You provide the best possible service that you can, and don't even worry about the finances. So I think, again, as an inspirational note to young doctors, never ever make money your objective. Always look at the patient in front of you. That's someone who's requiring your assistance, your guidance, your advice, and that's what you need to offer, selflessly and unconditionally. And I think if you do that, inshallah, you will achieve a phenomenal amount of barakah. And I'm not going to say success. I'm going to say, because barakah is something which is intangible. It's something that you can't taste and feel, but you can certainly feel. Something that's not taught in hospital. In your schools. And I'd like to have like how we've got Vitality scoring points. I'd like to have an app which is actually attracting or accumulating your barakah rewards or your barakah points. So I think if we are able to sort of constantly be attracting Allah's blessings, which is what barakah means, in every action, in everything that we do, alhamdulillah, you will taste success.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was going to say more, but I think it's just a most profound way to end on this conversation. And we will have more chats, but I'll leave you with this, because I mean, this is the point and the challenge that you've made to me now. Is like, how do you download your barakah? And now I put the challenge to you. You need to work out the mechanics so that we can understand that concept of downloading your barakah. So thank you for your time. Most inspired by your insights and your purpose.
Jazakallah. Thanks a lot, Ashraf. Have a fantastic Ramadan, and I'm wishing you well over the next 30 days with the inspirational talks. I'm almost certain you're going to have a number of champion people who will continuously and constantly inspire us. Alhamdulillah.
Well, you've set the bar, and that's where we're going to leave it. Dr. Ismail Meter, currently the MD at Lakeview Hospital. But
I'm
also
going to hold you
involved
to
in
the
clinical
coffee
trials.
after Ramadan, inshallah.
Absolutely, and you could even have it at night after Tarawih. There's nothing stopping
That's
you doing
right.
just that. You know that. All right, Dr. Ismail Meter, there you are, from Lakeview Hospital, but also doing clinical trials at CGT or GCT rather. But to go back to the original point, what a claim to fame! Here's the man for his birthday, intentional or otherwise, gets to be the imam for the Witr at Masjid Al-Aqsa. Now, if you don't know, then you have barakah in your life after that. Well, I don't really know. Okay, that's it for today's show. It's been fascinating talking to you. We've extended by a few minutes longer, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Do follow me on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me, Ashraf Garda, but also follow Salam Media, and you can drop us an email. I'd love to hear from you if you want to even drop us an email. But WhatsApp 061 766 0355. What did you like? What can we do better? And to call in as well, even off the air, to speak to the program manager or CEO, Ponti Moletsani, 011 680 0355. Enjoy the rest of the day. Some great programming coming up all throughout the day on Salam Media. I'm happy to be here. The question is, are you? Assalamu alaikum.